Hello, we're ready. Thank you everybody for being here. Good morning to all attendees and participants. On behalf of Tijuana EDC, the event organizer, we welcome you to the 4th edition of our Binational Economic Development Congress. This is the first time we are hosting our annual event in San Diego in our continuous effort to promote the region internationally. Our binational mega region is recognized for its strong business interaction, infrastructure, innovation, R&D, education, tourism, manufacturing, creative industries, and global trade solutions. Tijuana leads the manufacturing industry in Mexico with the largest number of companies registered in manufacturing and over 60 years of experience in this field. Its strategic location and proximity to San Diego make it attractive for international business. We should continue strengthening our business relationship moving forward as a binational region is how we envision our future. This event is delivered and organized by the Tijuana Economic Development Corporation, but also with the active support from our members who are committed to the development of the city and the region. One of our special sponsors is Ingetec de Acero. We're going to play a short video so you can learn a little more about them.
At Ingetec, we specialize in rebar fabrication and structural steel products, employing cutting-edge technology and engineering to provide customized, high-quality solutions, all manufactured from 100% recycled steel. Our solutions contribute to the development of infrastructure, building, industrial, energy, and housing projects. Backed by De Acero Group, a company with 70 years of experience, we supply, manufacture, and install reinforcement rebar and light structural beams, custom made for each project, with guaranteed execution times, and with a large variety of rebar supports and accessories ready for installation. With our extensive network comprising of 6 facilities in Mexico and an additional location in Garland, Texas, we have the capacity to effectively address the growth that the U.S. construction market demands. Our offer is designed to optimize budgeting, project management, and reduce timelines for the deployment of construction projects. We strive to offer companies the assurance they need to undertake construction projects by delivering products and services that are unrivaled in terms of quality, durability, and safety. We are committed to a clear vision to propel the construction industry forward through the utilization of advanced technified engineering, revolutionizing traditional building methods. With our Nutriem-engineered structural mesh, we are creating a more sustainable world, having one of the most sustainable productions processes and offsetting its already low emissions to achieve neutrality through net zero carbon credits. Ingetec, building the future.
Thank you, Ingetec de Acero, for being our sponsor today. And now we're also going to play a video for you to know a little bit more about Tijuana EDC. Like I said, this is our 4th edition. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to introduce the first keynote conference, Nearshoring, Exploring the Global Economic Outlook and Emerging Opportunities. Mexico represents an opportunity for nearshoring tendencies Since the global movement of supply chains, the legacy industries are adapting to bring the operations closer. We are the main options to attract investment and strengthen the relationship with the USA. So I'm going to call our first speaker of the day and tell you a little more about him. Luis Manuel Hernandez, president of Index in Nacional. Luis Manuel has a PhD in business from the Atlantic International University in the United States, served as president of Index Zona Costa Baja California from 2016 to 2020, and now is president of Index Nacional for the period of 2021 to 2023. He is currently the finance director of Jacuzzi de Mexico and a counselor for Grupo Financiero Banorte, NAFIN, and served on several manufacturing boards of directors. Mr. Hernandez received Cross-Border Leader Award in 2020 from San Diego, so please give him a round of applause. Luis, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. Oh, there's echo there. Is that okay? Good. Well, thank you for being here. Cristina, thank you for the invitation. For me, it's a pleasure being here. Sorry about my English. Some of the words might not be as great as my daughter, but it'll be enough to understand. What I want to cover today is a little bit of what we're seeing here in Mexico and as well what we're expecting in the future. There's a lot of input here. We have some data from Mexico, some data from the office that we have in Washington, D.C. We just opened an index office in Washington a year ago. The reason of opening that is that we need to be where the decisions are made. And it was kind of a combo breaker, as they say. But what we're understanding right now is that the more we speak to each other, the more we share information and data, it is the more effective our message will be conveyed to the federal government here in Mexico, and as well, here in the United States and Mexico as well, and talk about regions, okay? We want to cover some aspects of the regions, so any questions, concerns, I'll try to make it, as my boss says, be brief, be bright, and be gone, okay? Okay, this is where we're standing right now. It is, there's a $10.5 trillion economy. What we're seeing right now is that China, for the past 7 years, has bought a lot of mines around the world, okay? So we used to speak about this before, and we would say an end-to-end vision, okay? Meaning I get the product, I manufacture the product, so the raw materials, and then I sell them. What China did, and that is no news for everybody, it is they are purchasing the mines, and they have the final seller, okay? So they have the full and complete source of what's going on. And as well, they have invested a lot in shares of US companies. So that is why the US government is started about 2 years ago looking into more detail at the trade, at the sales, at the equity, what is happening with each of the industries. This is how the GDP was seen before 1994 to 2022. 1994, many of you were not born yet. 1994, 28% of this GDP was NAFTA. Pretty much 3 countries had 28%. But the interesting part is that China and India, had only 3%. Right now, and this is a more convincing graph, China and India GDP grew 33 times since 1994 to 2022, okay? And USMCA, which we're standing, only grew 3 times. So that is a game changer, okay? There is a lot in this slide that we might not be able to digest, but we need to understand some of the details, what are our capacities here. But if a country is growing 33 times along with another one, there is something that they are seeing, there's something that they have, either the market, either the mines, either the sourcing, okay? The US, Canada, and Mexico, we don't have many natural resources. Everything that we have, we use it here, but China has a lot of the commodities of the world. This is something that, if you go to Washington, you will see these many places. The US is saying, you know what, manufacturing is growing. But it's growing where? Not in the West. It's going on the East. Okay? And this will be for the next 5 years, 7 years. What am I saying 5 years, 7 years? Because there will be a new economy in 5 years. What we're seeing right now is not the economy that will be having decisions or making decisions in the future. What is happening right now as well is that this Tesla emotional manufacturing site that is being opened in Nuevo León, okay, the Texas area will get a lot of influence and a lot of, say, economic development. As well, here in the West, we might not have that kind of investment, but we have the biotech, we have the medical structure there. And we see that as a given, but that given sometimes can make a change on how the market reacts. This is pretty much what is USMCA. Every single minute, $3 million of trade. What is important here is that 3 countries are doing $3 million of trade every minute. China has $1.3 million of trade with the US. Okay? So there is a lot going on with China. What is happening as well with us is that even though there is a lot of investment in capital, we are just protecting 9.5 million, either jobs or families. However we want to see it is how we want to protect this. The trade that we have with the US, Mexico, and Canada is a trade that we know for years. We haven't changed that much, and that is where one of the problems starts. Since we haven't changed it, when you don't change something, what would the market do? The price will drop. It is normally. The only way to get a higher price is having patents, having new products out there. And most of the patents are coming from where? From Asia, from India. Okay? So we're behind. The US, if you put the US, they will be on the top 20 of patents. Canada and Mexico will be on the bottom 50. Okay? We don't have that much. So it is good that Cristina is doing this because we need to start thinking about patents. We need to start thinking about patents, but, and I repeat that is, but in a way that we develop either patents for the process or patents for the products or patents for the systems. We have only seen patents for a product or an end-to-end solution, but we have many processes that we could patent them and we could just start making money about it. This is the footprint that we have of manufacturing. Most of it is coming from China, the US, Mexico, and Canada. We have like 18%, 19% of the manufacturing of the world. It is an important footprint, okay? But the changes that we're seeing is that we're moving from economies of scale to economies of skills. Not new again. Fernando was with us last week in Mexico City on the National Index Convention, and he was talking about skills. The skills is what is making a change. And the bad thing about skills and capital is that skills move whatever they want. Say, if the people has the skills, they will move whatever they want. They will move whatever they have the best offer. And capital as well. Capital will move whatever they can make more profit. Okay? So we're competing against the skills, okay? But we are not developing the skills as fast as we could. Talking with Ambassador Salazar a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in Mexico City, we were preparing for the CEO dialogue. And he was giving us kind of the data of how many people from India and China are studying here in the US. It's a lot of people. 60,000, 40,000, I don't recall the number. But for Mexico, it is like 1,000 people. The highest peak has been 6,000 people from Mexico studying here. Okay? So the skills will be moving around, okay? Or we will need to develop the skills. Since the US policy right now is either trade or investment, the US is looking at this. You will be familiar with some of the reactions in the past month of August. There was a duty in steel products in Mexico. Many of you will be familiar with 25% additional duty if you purchase steel from China. Okay? That is a pain in the neck for everybody. That created a lot of noise. But that told us something. The USMCA has become a paper, has not become a trade policy for the three countries. USMCA is worth if it is a trade and everybody respects the trade. Right now, what we're seeing is not being respected because Mexico has a different road, Canada has a different road, and the US has a different road as well. What is happening right now is that the US is trying to protect themselves from China, but Mexico is maybe not seeing that. So that is one of the reasons that we opened an office in Washington. We need to convey the same message. What is happening right now is that trade policy might get a lot of attention in the next 2 years, starting 2025, and that is why it's important who gets into office in the US and who gets into office in Mexico. Starting June 2025, we will start the negotiation of the USMCA. And we in Mexico are not in a good standing position. First one, energy. That is a situation that if they create a panel, there will be a huge issue there. And as well, they want to put a little bit of medical devices, NOM 241. We haven't solved it. Pedro, he's the head, Pedro Gonzalez, he's the head for NOM 241 at Index Nacional. It has been a pain in the neck for the past 5 months, Pedro, okay? So talking about this is the trade wars that we're seeing is the value chains, the supply chains, is something that we always talk about. But sometimes we don't quite understand what's happening. If you go to a governor in Mexico and ask him about the supply chain he protects, he might not know. The same in the US, the same in Canada. USMCA is being managed at a federal level. And I invite you here to start talking about MCA in your companies. I invite you to start talking MCA with your mayors, with your governors. If they don't care about it, well, then we need to do something else. Because if a mayor or a governor doesn't understand what the supply chain is, then we have a big issue. What is happening right now is the talent is there, okay? The talent is moving. We're seeing many friends of mine are moving to Monterrey. They're moving to Nuevo León because they're saying, you know what, I'll get the same price, the same salary, better infrastructure, okay? Maybe a better job, maybe a career path, okay? I have Texas there, whatever. So what is happening in the global value chains is that we just keep talking about them when we don't make that many changes together with the government. What is the USMCA? USMCA, these are kind of the buzzwords that we hear. Building back together, robust supply chains, environmental, law, rule of law, FDA, trade facilitation for medical devices. That is what we have in the region. We already have it. But I will challenge, okay, and this will be maybe a homework for Christina and myself on the TACAN index, is what is the trade number that we have? We know that there are 3,000 trucks that cross every day. But we maybe don't know the value of it. Okay. That's a game changer. Talking about Juarez, they know the value every day. Texas knows the value of how much is crossing there. Good enough that we don't have Governor Abbott here because it'll be a kind of a mess, okay? But that is why if the governor is not convinced about the trade, then we have an issue among the suppliers and the supply chains. The investment, there are many things about investment. We had a meeting with the CHIPS Act team, I think it was back in July in Washington, D.C. The first thing that they told me, hey, Luis, you are not entitled as a maquiladora to get grants from the U.S. government. And our answer was, yes, we know that, but our partners are in the U.S. The corporate offices are in the U.S. And it was kind of concerning that in Washington, they see us as a foreigner. And they don't know what a manufacturing company is, what a transfer pricing is. That is very concerning because many of the guys that were sitting on the table were getting grants, their corporate offices in the US, they were getting grants to invest in the US or in Mexico. So the CHIPS Act is something that we should start understanding if we can get something out of it. What is coming as well, it's coming the Medical Device Act. Okay? Medical Device Act will be a situation that we'll see in the next year and a half. Why is that? People in the US is aging, people in Canada is aging, people in Mexico is aging as well. Structural-wise, we don't have that protection against that or with that medical device entities. So we need to understand how can we make a change there. USMCA, 4 main factors. First one, supply chain resilience. Okay, how can I make it stronger here? Number 2, it is critical industries. There are not many industries. The US defines 50 industries, not 100, not 1,000. They define 50 industries. Those 50 industries are not in Mexico. Mexico only has 12, and we'll cover those in a few minutes. Mitigate and, let's say, depend less on China, being competitive. Yesterday, I had a conversation with part of my C-level team. We're talking about the increase on the labor and the minimum wage in Mexico. And that is always a concern. You know what? They are raising the cost of Mexico, yes, but it's not compared to the level that we have in Canada and the US. And there is something between the lines and the USMCA. You have the regional value and the labor value, okay? So the more the salary increases, your companies will be, let's say, complying with the labor regional content, okay? I'm not trying to convince you that it's a good thing. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you don't qualify your products for what you're purchasing in the region, you can qualify them based on the labor composition or the salary composition that we have. However, we just see that as a bad thing. Okay? Right now is one of the comments that we had on the trilateral meeting back in January with Mr. Biden and the Canada representative of Mexico, Mr. Obrador, was that in the USMCA, where does the middle class stand? That's not something for us to discuss here. We will need a lot of time, and as a good friend says, maybe some wine to discuss that, okay? But what we're seeing is people is asking themselves, with these changes, where am I going to be? Where is my kid, my family going to be? How am I allowed to participate there? So we're not answering that, we're providing jobs. We need to answer and provide jobs that connect the people, the supply chains, and what is happening around it. This is kind of the 4 acts that we were seeing: semiconductors, critical minerals, clean energy, batteries, okay? That is pretty much one of the main focus that the US has, okay? Where we can compete, we might compete there maybe in 1 or 2. Mostly in 1, which is semiconductors, okay? The companies that we have, the largest company is here in Mexicali, one of the largest companies here in Mexicali, Skyworks. That is a company that they have a lot of the supply chain from the US, okay? But since we already have it, then we don't say that much. We had in the meeting that we were with Ambassador, there was the Qualcomm people there, and they were saying, you know what, we're bringing jobs to Mexico, but we're not bringing jobs like 3,000 people. We're bringing 100 engineers. And that's where we need to change from economies of scale to economies of skill, okay? We always wanted the big companies to be part of the US and USMCA. That won't happen. The big companies are already here. Right now, there is a shift only. There's a shift there. This is a very interesting graph of how much the 3 countries are investing. Blue, the United States, red, Canada, and green is Mexico. So what is happening is, since USMCA was created, the United States had invested $3.3 billion in Canada, okay? Into the US, Canada has invested 17 million, and Mexico has invested 2.8 billion, okay? And into Mexico, the largest investor is the US, okay? So Mexico, we need to understand that we're not playing to win, we're playing to stay, okay? If you play to win, you would invest more, but we're not playing to win, we're playing to stay. And that's a big differentiator of how the decisions are made. If you play to stay, you won't bet that much. If you play to win, you will be betting because you know what you have behind you. So what will happen right now is that we will not see more investment in Mexico. Why is that? Because there's an election coming. Right now, all the focus is who is going to get there. The surprising part is that, and I say this to my father, is when I was a kid, I heard you and your friends talking about the government. And now I'm talking with my friends and my kids are hearing the same, okay? So we need to do something different and very radical because this has already changed and we saw it after the pandemic. There's a lot of dependency on the crucial activities or, as they say, is the essential activities. We haven't developed that in Mexico, but that is why we need to be talking here and sending the message from here. This is a little bit of the Mexico manufacturing that is in social media. Even with this, even with what we're having, we have 3.8 million people employed. If you put everything together, it's like 9 million people. What are the problems that Mexico has? The main problem is safety. That is an issue. Rule of law is another one, okay? Gender, okay? Maybe it's a basic issue. But when we start seeing this with our deputies, with our senators, there is a disconnection about the three governments. These are the 12 supply chains that Mexico can compete on. The ones in red are the ones that we can compete, but we haven't developed, quite frankly, either the law or the protection or the environment just to make it happen. As you know, energy is a big issue. It's a big issue in California. In Baja California, it's a big issue in several states. But the ones in blue are the ones that we're working on. It's the one that many of you work already, okay? The CHIPS Act is something that we should see it differently and just maybe start creating some trainings. Just maybe start talking about a differentiator between what they have to what we can have. There is a company in the automotive industry from Canada, and back in January, the guy was sharing that he wanted to get supervisors from Mexico to train his people in Canada and to train his people in the US. Okay. He got the permits. Unfortunately, it's only one company. The guy went, he asked for it, and you can ask for it because that training is either you train the people or you automate your process, okay? And if we don't do something, automation will eat us, yes, will eat us, but if we don't get prepared, we will not have the kind of quality of people to control those automation and then have the higher salaries. What are the opportunities that we have? High-level economic dialogue. That is an opportunity that we have that we should, say, embrace. What we're trying to do is, what is the commercial priority? What is a priority that we have in this region? Do we agree on all the priorities? I think yes, we agree. But we agree on every single meeting. When you bring an investor to Ciudad Industrial, okay, to this border with Otay, some of us, we don't want to take them there. Because you will see, you know what, this guy here who has a site 3 minutes to the border, who paid premium rate for that land, when he finishes products, he needs to go to the airport, or the Tijuana airport, and start the line there to cross the border. So those differentiators, are there, but we don't know. Well, we know, but I need to say we don't know, okay? We don't know if the government understands those, okay? Maybe the US understands it, but we need to ask for a meeting we made with the mayor from California, whoever the state is, with the mayor of Tijuana. Because at the end of the day, the trade depends on that. Deliverables, what are we going to deliver? I said $3 million every minute on USMCA. Out of the $3 million, Mexico has $800,000 every single minute. When you see in the news that somebody says, you know what, the manufacturing industry in Mexico is not enough, they don't provide good jobs, they don't provide good for the country, when I get the call from somebody, hey, did you see the news? Did you see the newspaper? Something kicks into me. I say, you know what? Yes, I saw it. You saw it as well. What is your opinion on it? And then we need to provide an opinion. For some of us, or for some of you, my answer has been, what does the governor think about this? What does the mayor think about this? No, nobody knows. Okay. If they are not convinced, then we need to have a differentiator among us. Okay. The 5 ways that we're seeing, and this is part of information from McKinsey: technology, talent, supply chain, smart manufacturing, sustainability. Okay. The last one, number 5, is one that we just talk about it. We don't understand it that well, but we talk about it. Okay. Talent, people is asking themselves what they will do. Smart manufacturing, we keep on talking about it, but there's a lot of smart manufacturing in the border. There's a lot of smart manufacturing in Tijuana, a lot of smart manufacturing here in the south of California. But we don't share that much. Okay? Investing, we need to support pretty much all the SMET trainings, and as well a little bit on trade. Okay? You need to have a good manager, you need to have a finance director, an operations director that understands trade. What is happening right now is that we get too technical and we continue promoting jobs that are not that high skilled. What we're seeing right now with that through Aritag is that they're promoting this skill set. Okay? Define your skills. That is why Index, we engage with MIT, we engage with Harvard. Okay? If somebody wants to study engineering and from either MIT or Harvard, what Index is doing is we were able to get the classes in Spanish, okay, online, and you can get your certification in Mexico where you're working or whatever you're working, doing that from your home. But that is the skill set that we are looking for, and that is the skill set that we need to prepare for the next trade war. What we see right now is the trade wars, so on, every 5 years, every 7 years, there will be a realignment of the regions. Mexico, we need to start thinking about aftermarket. We need to start thinking about selling ourselves. This is something that Gonzalo has shared with us, is we need to move our chips from just manufacturing. Is why don't you do everything there? It is easy, Gonzalo. We can learn from the Mexico industry. We could do that, yes, we can do it. But sometimes, as they say, well, the more I earn, the more taxes I pay. Well, that's not wrong, right? It is unfortunate what they do with the taxes, right? They should do something different with the taxes, but the more you earn, the more tax you get. But what is happening right now is we can go from, we have development stage in Mexico, we have development stage in Canada, same in the US. We don't have in Mexico sales stage in this area of manufacturing, and we don't have the final stage. We don't have the aftermarket. But that is a big market, and that is what is happening right now through Amazon or all those sellers. We should be just joining that, and what will happen, I think Gonzalo is, if we have 10 manufacturing companies in Tijuana doing that is a lot. And we have 1,100 companies in Baja California. So you want to create jobs, you want to create this economy, you want to increase the $3 million that we have on trade. This is something that we can use as well. Okay, what is the Mexico potential? The Mexico potential is, our baseline right now is $578 billion of exports. There are 152 billions that we could increase, okay? Some of them are automotive, some of them USMCA sectors, the 12 sectors that you saw a few slides ago. Those are 38 billions. And electric cars and mobility, 22 billions, okay? The bad thing about this is, we don't have a pointer. The USMCA sectors, okay, are in the border right now. If you go to electric cars, automotive, you will need to go to Juarez, you will need to go to Guanajuato, you will need to go to Jalisco, okay, San Luis Potosí, okay? Well, guess what? That is when we saw the map of the US, that is where they are located, okay? And this is kind of my final slide. I'll leave it up for questions or quejas if you have, okay? This is something that it is from the playbook, Jose Mourinho. He says, and I like it a lot, is I don't want to put pressure on you on winning, but we can lose, okay? We already have it, guys. We already have something in our hands. When they ask me about what is the ATAC doing, okay, they are protecting the investment that we already have. When you protect your investment, you promote. When you protect your people, you promote. When you have in your board people that is working towards getting the investment in the four walls where you're working, that says a lot. But we just keep pushing people to bring more stuff. Okay? The stuff that is coming, 80% of the growth that we're seeing in Canada, Mexico, and the US is organic growth. It is a company that is already there, getting more volume or changing the supply chain. A company that is already there, getting volume and getting more part of the supply chain. It's not that the companies, you know what, they're going to start Tesla in Nuevo León and everybody all of a sudden says, hey, Luis, how much are we making on that? Well, nothing. Right now, nothing. Because there's a piece of land, they will start construction, and maybe in 2 years we'll see something. And what Cristina has on her hands, what her board has on her hands is 600 companies in Tijuana that are providing you with 3,000 trucks crossing every day. Okay? And that's a supply chain that since we already have it, we say, you know what, hey, Cristina, bring more. Hey, Cristina, it's okay. She didn't ask me to say that, okay? But that is what I see, okay? There is a saying in Mexico that say, I don't know how to translate in English, but nadie es profeta en su tierra, okay? That is what I'm seeing, okay? Since we have it, we want more, you know what? Let's promote what we have. And this is my final slide, okay? Sorry. Oops. You went back? That one, okay. This is the region we keep talking and will be talking in the next 4 years. This is what the border between the US and Mexico has. $815 billion of manufacturing output. That by itself, among 10 states between the US and Mexico, is an economy. If you move this economy, you need to move a lot of stuff. I don't imagine the border without this. We have 58,000 companies in the border. That's enough for us to understand. That's enough for us to work. That's enough organic growth for us. We have 4.3 million people employed. If you saw the slide with the Mexico map, we have 3.8 people employed in Mexico. But just the border towns between the US and Mexico, almost 5 million people, 4.3. What I want to close is, let's focus on what we have. Let's focus on how we work together and make it better. If the government doesn't understand either here, there, wherever, well, it's up to us to find the right ears, find the right message and the same message, just to send it, just to reply it, and then wait for the USMCA negotiation. It'll be a failure if we are not on the table of negotiating the USMCA. It will be a failure for us. Okay? From my side, I'll leave the 3.45 minutes for any questions, concerns, or remarks. Cristina, I'm pretty much open. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask Luis not to leave yet. Please stand in the middle, and thank you so much for this conference. I'm going to... Okay, so anybody has a question? We have a couple of minutes. In the back, just be really loud. Oh, there's a mic. Just stand up, please.
Yes.
Gracias. Thank you. Hello, sir. Thank you for your presentation. I really like it and enjoy it. I heard that you were mentioning upskilling engineers. You were mentioning technology. You were mentioning cybersecurity. I'm a PhD student from UABC. I'm studying the digital divide which is the lack of access or skills to use the internet and the digital technologies. So my question to you is, what is your company or your expectations on that? How can you upskill people that don't have the connectivity or access or the skills to use the internet?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nice meeting you. Alejandra and myself are studying right now a seminar. How many classes, Alejandra? 5 or 6 classes on that, right? It is an online training. We need, there is so much you know, so much you don't know, okay? There is a lot that we don't know. What I'm seeing is, and what we should be doing, my recommendation is just understand the language, just understand what's going on. About a month ago, when we were in Washington, we were talking about ChatGPT, okay? And that by itself is a different animal, okay? And we're talking about the regulation of that, okay? So if we don't understand, we cannot regulate, okay? So to your question is, we need to upskill ourselves, yes, and we need to understand that the world changed. What we're seeing on the boards is that most of the people that we have will be people of my age, okay? But we need people younger than us to challenge us and to challenge what is coming. So it is, I think, part of human nature is understanding what we don't know and reaching to the ones that know and can provide us with a difference. If we don't get engaged on that, China will be all over all the regions. The biggest concern that the U.S. has is if they start regulating this technology, artificial intelligence, if there is a word that they regulate it, what will happen is that if China doesn't obey the regulations, the US, Canada, and all those countries can be just off the market in a few years. 40 segundos.
Over here, in the front, please.
Luis, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Job well done. I love how you ended with the don't let us be complacent.
Okay.
That's very, very important. On your Mexico 12 that you share, I'm assuming that automotive was on the transportation,
Yes.
because I'm sure that you know it. Automotive is huge, and you talk about the electric vehicle, and I truly believe that between the power and electric vehicle, that's going to just explode. So we got to be definitely focused on that one. On your 5 ways that you alluded, I think that the one that we should also challenge ourselves is on cost. Because we really don't compete against the US. We really compete against China and India. And today I can tell you, as I'm investing in around the regions, Mexico today is more attractive than is China for sure, and India is a challenge. The infrastructure is there. So I would just add cost on that one. So that's just to open the appetite for everybody to remember that it's not about the wages, it's about the total compensation that you provide to the employee. Because when you give all the benefits in Mexico, kind of matches, but China is now more expensive and actually is in the US. And the last one that I have as a comment or for think through, at the end you mentioned about aftermarket. I see that one as another huge opportunity to go after low volume, high mix, where the labor is really required, where we have a very talented people, that if we can find those jobs, and I'm not talking about old technology, I'm really talking about the jobs that they provide you better gross margin, because you can actually sell them at the higher, with higher profit, okay? So I would just add that one as your comment of high mix, low volume.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Cristina Hermosillo, our host this morning and chairwoman of the Tijuana Economic Development Corporation, to award Luis Hernandez and also to give our inauguration speech.
Muy buen audience.